Welcome to the first snow of the year, or possibly only snow, as it is the UK, and it's already melting. It's been quite cold over the last couple of days, and I actually wasn't expecting it to snow, but looks like it might even continue later today. For reference, yes, I am kneeling in what is now just melting ice. I'd claim it was because it's the best way of doing this, but no, I just forgot my chair. I'm just out in my garden for the morning because it's one of the few times when it's snowing that I get nice photos out here. It's quite dark in this area, and it tends to be better when there's snow because you get more light underneath the birds. I put some food out at the other end of the garden and a little bit closer up, so there's a lot of birds at the other end that I can see. But so far I've already gotten a robin come notably closer to me because I've also put some food over here. So hopefully more of them will come back over this way again. They seem to be quite tame at this time of year because they're just after the food. I'm unfortunately one of those people that once their hands get cold, they basically never heat back up again without an external heat source. So over time I have learned how to use a camera whilst wearing mittens. These are just wall power mittens that I bought from the Ray Mears shop in the UK. And they're very nice because they're just soft, kind of lightweight mittens, but they are slightly challenging to use a camera in, particularly the OM1. It's a bit smaller than my previous cameras. I could operate the Canon 7D Mark II in it quite effectively. The 1DS Mark III that I had before that was very easy to operate, but this is a bit of a squeeze. The controls kind of aren't made for it, but the camera itself is apparently freeze-proof, so I guess it was intentional that you could use it in these sorts of conditions, but maybe you just need to be more manly and have cold-proof hands. One bird you can always rely on in the UK in wintertime are robins, because they will always come up close, thankfully. Always gives me something to photograph, and the best thing is they're one of the better looking birds in the snow because they're something that actually stands out. If you're curious, it's not raining at the moment or snowing, it's just melting. It's only about 10 a.m, 11 a.m, and it's already going. Unfortunately, based around Cardiff, it tends to be quite hot here, and so when it does snow, it does it very rarely. And if it does, it means this has been exceptionally cold, and you tend to get a quick flurry of it. We've had effectively blizzards before that last about 2 days, and then there's nothing for 2 years afterwards. It's a bit of an odd place. Oh, the robin's back. Oh, he's buggered off. Hello, matey. If you're wondering why I'm not sat at the end where all the birds are, it's because this garden features two very territorial robins, and they tend to chase each other off. And so one of them will always come down this end instead. And so I'm more likely to get closer photos of it because it can't feed at the other end. It's less the photo controls that are challenging in mittens on this, and more the video recording controls. The grip in general is not really well suited to it because the stretch of the mitten isn't quite high enough. I think I'm going to potentially swap to some split mittens maybe with some liner gloves underneath, which I am wearing here as well. I get very cold hands. There's a glove maker that I particularly like called Hestra. They make only gloves, or at least originally they only made gloves. And I'm wearing some of their liner gloves, and they're very, very nice. But I found out recently that they do a heated pair of liner gloves that have a bonded heating circuit built into them. But they are £225, which, considering I will break them almost immediately, is a bit much. So earlier this week, OM announced the version 1.3 firmware for the OM1. The patch notes were not what I would call comprehensive. They just said that they've improved the autofocus, and that they've improved the autofocus in video. Honestly, I have absolutely no idea if it's improved or not. It seems fine still. I did notice that I had to turn the sensitivity down, because I previously had it on +2. I think I've got it on +1 now. No, it's still on +2. So no, I've changed nothing. It still seems fine. It still has some of the same issues that it had before, such as focusing on twigs that are in front of the bird, tendency to drift very quickly, but if you don't have the sensitivity set high, it doesn't seem to track motion very well. So, I mean, it is what it is. The main thing lacking on the OM1's autofocus settings is a setting for stickiness as well as sensitivity, which is what you get on most cameras, including the Panasonic S5, to allow you to tweak how likely it is to pick up new subjects, but also how much it's going to hang on to the thing that it's currently focusing on. And unfortunately, there's no setting like that on the OM1, which I think is a shame, because it would allow you to better customize that aspect of it. I want something that's sticky, but I want it to track the motion of that object very fast. And currently, I don't think it's necessarily that good at that, unless you put it on high sensitivity. One change I have made this week is I've started using the continuous AF plus tracking mode again, which I previously dismissed because it was awful. The tracking square just seems to go crazy and drift off in random directions. It doesn't seem to do that anymore, which is curious because that wasn't in their patch notes. So maybe it's just me feeling differently about it, I guess. Maybe it's just me making it up in my head, but so far the tracking mode seems a bit better, and it also, when you stick it in the tracking mode, seems to capture birds moving towards you slightly faster. So that's nice. That's a decent improvement. If indeed it is an improvement, I don't know. It would be nice if they put out more technical patch notes. I don't think any camera manufacturer is particularly good at that aspect though. In my day job, I am a software engineer. I like changelogs. I like detailed changelogs. I'm not going to say that I expect all the camera manufacturers to turn to open source and release all of their firmware, because that's not going to happen. But it would be nice if they were at least honest about the changes that they've made. Just saying improved AF. How? What have you improved? Would be nice to know. I think the S5's autofocus was drifting a bit up until now. So I'm using my new trick, which is that I have an Aperture MC or something like that, but a portable light. And this effectively solves the autofocus problems on the Panasonic S5, because it's contrast detect. You really just need more light. There are rumours that a new Panasonic camera is about to be announced that has LiDAR-based autofocus built in cooperation with DJI. That would be very interesting, if so. Don't think it'll work for wildlife. A little bit unsure about shining lasers at birds, to be honest. But if it works for human faces, it could be quite good. but I will be doing a video soon about what I've discovered with the Panasonic S5 autofocus. I think I've largely fixed it. I really hope this is in focus because that'll look really stupid otherwise. But outdoors it's still a bit challenging. Indoors as a studio camera, great camera, you can fix the autofocus, mostly by running it at 50 FPS, which feels counterintuitive. I don't know why that would make the autofocus faster. It really shouldn't, because it shouldn't be coupled to the frame rate. But, you know. Beautiful. Hello, matey. There's a very picturesque stick of something coming out of a plant bed that it shouldn't be there, but we've not really done much on our garden in about 2 years because we've just been so busy trying to renovate the house. And I'm not sure what it is. It looks like a beach? I don't know, something. But on the plus side, it's a great perch, and the robin keeps posing on it for me, which is ideal. It's about 4 meters from me, which is the ideal distance, really. I apologise for the lack of videos lately. I've been working on restoring my office, or renovating it, which was largely paused due to COVID restrictions. But it is nearly there. It should hopefully be done in the next week or two, and I will be setting it up partially to work as someone to make videos indoors. So I'm quite hopeful about that, and I will be hopefully making quite a few more indoor videos as well, which means it's much less reliant on the weather, which, as you can tell, is not super amazing here in Wales. Hopefully my next video will actually be showing some of the process involved in setting up my office. So until then, thanks for watching. See you next time.